This is hour two of Hockey Prospect Radio on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, partnered with ECAC Hockey, the leaders in hockey on and off the ice. Learn more at ecachockey.com. Happy to bring on Brandon Whittet, 16-year head coach at Brown University. Brandon, thank you very much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it too. It's nice to
Well,
talk hockey.
oh, absolutely. It's really interesting. So this has been a running theme since we partnered with ECAC, and I've had a variety of guests, coaches, and alumni. How often alumni that have played at a program end up coming back and coaching at at their alma mater or at another ECAC program? Like, what draws people back to ECAC from your experience, from like not only your personal experience, but the conversations you have with the other coaching staff, whether it's on the men's side or the women's side? Because I've never seen another program, another conference like this that has so many that to get drawn back in. It's like a vortex. They just like suck you back in.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think a lot of it has to do with people that have come prior. The coaches that have played in the league, right? It's a great league, and specifically for their school. So you look around, on the men's side, myself at Brown. I mean, the reason I came back to Brown, number one, was they gave me the opportunity to be a head coach, first and foremost. Number two is a homecoming for me. I mean, I love the school. I love everything about it. I made the choice years and years ago to go to Brown. I had other options, and the opportunity to come back and lead a program that you were able to wear the jersey for and play in some big moments. I mean, it's just it's something that's for me, it's where I've always wanted to be, and I'm lucky enough that I'm on year 16. But you look around the league. I mean, Teddy Donato played at Harvard, and Mike Schaefer played at Cornell. Keith Lane played at Yale. You go on and on. Bobby Gaudette, who I consider a mentor. Bob coached me at Brown, but he was a Dartmouth guy, and I ended up working for him, got into the business up at Dartmouth. But he went back to Dartmouth, had real good success up there. So by and large, I think it's the familiarity with the schools and also the league. I mean, it's a great league. It really is. There's a lot of values that I really appreciate, not just on the hockey side, but also on the academic side, and kind of what these schools can do for you later on in life.
One of the interesting observations I've had about ECAC hockey is on and off the ice, the student athletes seem to be particularly gritty. Like you got whether it's the women's side or the men's side, they both play a more pro style, grittier style of hockey. Particularly with the guys in Cornell, they like to push it upon, and Quinnipiac, got Rand and those guys like to. It's a grittier style, but one of the things that's interesting is the student athlete academically have to be gritty as well because that's a heavy academic load. But then from the perspective of on ice, it's they just seem to correlate to each other. And I haven't really found the whole connection, but I find that observation really interesting. Have you found that across your career in the ECAC?
I mean, it's a staple, I think, of a lot of our teams. I mean, in you know, a lot of the players that are coming through are guys that have, they're intelligent, academic on the academic side, but they've really had to scratch and claw to get the ability to attend some of these schools and then to succeed once they're on campus. You know, we, I would say by and large, I mean, I love players that play with grit. I love players that have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, players that have maybe been overlooked or bypassed, or they're not considered the cream of the crop. But man, what do they have that they do really well? Well, players that can play, and have it in their character of being just tremendously driven and playing with, like you mentioned, with grit and with tenacity. Those are the guys that really help you succeed. I even look at it from guys that have played for me at Brown that have gone on to play in the NHL, and it's not the most skilled guys. Their biggest skillers, they're relentless in what they do. So Garnet Hathaway is a good example. Garnet Hathaway played for me and came out of Andover Prep School, straight out of prep school. Didn't play any junior hockey. Incredible athlete, but relentless in his drive to try and get better as an athlete, and just nonstop in what he did. And he's also the nicest guy in the world. But when he steps on the ice, something turns in that guy's head, and he's a battler. He's just a battler, and those are the guys I think that end up at a lot of our schools. Those guys that have just had to battle for everything they've got.
How much do you find that has been a history of ECAC players? Because I talked to Kevin Westgarth, and he's an ECAC guy, and how many of the tough guys or the grittier role players that play in the NHL, or they go play in the American League, or they end up going over to Europe and have a great career, how much of them are the energy, grittier players that recognize that even intellectually, this is what I need to do for my team. I am willing to do it. This is how I'm going to do it. And then having the social intelligence of understanding the impact of what that has on their team environment.
I think it's everything. I mean, like again, I'll relate it to our program. I mean, you need those guys that are just play with that almost rambunctiousness, right? Like they're almost on edge. Like they skirt the line between always being in the penalty box and not. And again, I love those guys because I think a true team, those are the most important pieces to your team. Like you need to have those guys that are glue guys that are just uh there's so much buy-in to whatever role they have to play. But that's how they are in life. Like I'll say to the guys, hey, if you're like that down the rink, if you're like that on the ice, if you have a grit and an energy and a passion and um, you're going to have that in other aspects of your life, whether it be up on campus or when you graduate. And again, I think those are the guys that ultimately succeed. Those guys that just aren't handed things, that have to earn everything they get. Um, we methodically will go after those guys. That's got to be a key component to yeah. I want guys that can sift a puck, that can make a play, that can put pucks in the back of the net. But I want to make sure they have they have the ability to play with energy and passion and tenacity for Brown University.
Is that part of the leadership component that yourself and your coaching staff, when you're recruiting players, is that when you're speaking to them in their living rooms with their parents, that this is part of the leadership component that's going to propel you not through just your hockey career, but the rest of your life? And how does that relate back to the parents when you're talking to the players in their living room?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's like anything. You're talking to young kids, right? So you're also talking to mom and dad, and sometimes they understand the impact and the value of being able to attend a school such as Brown, right? Because eventually everybody hangs up their skates. Everybody. I mean, I was lucky enough to coach a guy named Hugh Jessman. Hugh Jessman played for me up at Dartmouth. Hugh was a first rounder, never really materialized in the NHL, but ultimately went back and got his Dartmouth degree and has really excelled. So for us, yeah, we talk about hey, this is going to be the best for you. We'll help you attain and get to where you want to go hockey wise. Okay. But in conjunction, the school is going to help get you to where you want to be in your professional career when you do hang up the skates, and everybody hangs them up, right? I mean, I had a youth hockey coach years ago. He said the elevator stops for everybody. So different levels, but it stops eventually. And what are you going to do with the rest of your life? And that's where you can get a lot of buy-in from mom and dad, right? Like they just understand that because they're a little older, they're a little wiser. In conjunction with that, I want what we sell the guys on. Our goal is to win a national championship, and why can't we do that here? Why the school's about excellence. Our hockey program should be about excellence, and in everything we do, we try and integrate into our program the ability to grow our players, because again, we usually don't get finished products. We get guys that do something really well and then maybe don't do something else well, or they're a little shorter, or their boots are too slow. But we work with those guys, and you see something in that player, and you help them attain and reach their maximum potential.
Brian, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show. Great insight, Brown University hockey, and good luck through the stretch run, and look forward to seeing you in the future.
Thank you.
We're going to take a short break on Hockey Prospect Radio. Stay tuned, and we'll be back right after these important messages.